Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Arunodayam's Biology. Today we are going to learn about what are life processes topic from life processes chapter of class 10 biology. What are life processes? So already we have learnt that some maintaining functions takes place in living organisms in our previous video, and these maintaining functions will takes place in living organisms even though when we are not doing anything in particular, even though when the living organism is not doing anything in particular, these maintaining functions will go on in them. For example, even though when the living organism is asleep, even though when the living organism is sleeping, it is not doing any work, still maintaining functions will carry out in them. For example, at present I am teaching you lesson, isn't it? I am sitting in my room, I am teaching you lesson. I need some energy. Some maintaining process are taking place in my body at present now. And you are listening to my video by sitting in your room through your mobile, isn't it? You are not doing anything, you are just listening to my video. Still, you need some energy. Some maintaining functions are taking place in your body now. Okay, you are listening to this video, you have to understand it and you have to memorize it in your brain. So all these actions need some energy. For this energy, some maintaining functions are still carrying out in your body. So maintaining functions of living organisms will go on continuously even though when the organism does not do anything in particular. These processes which together perform this maintenance jobs are called as a life processes. So all the processes which perform these maintenance jobs in our body are called as a life processes. Okay, we are going to learn about a four type of life processes in our video briefly. Okay, first one is maintenance process needs energy to prevent damage and breakdown in the body. So in our previous video we have learned that every living organism's body is structurally organized. It has so many cells, so many tissues, so many organs. So in order to prevent damage and breakdown of this organization, these maintenance processes needs energy. In order to prevent damage or breakdown, or in order to repair the damage, these maintaining processes needs some energy. So how we will get energy? We will get energy by taking some food material from outside of the body. So living organisms will take food from outside in order to get energy. This intake of food material for energy from outside is called as nutrition. Living organisms take food from outside for energy is called as nutrition. So living organisms take food from outside in order to get energy. This type of life process taking place in the living organism is called as nutrition. Okay, and not only for energy, organisms need food items for growth also. For the growth of the organism, for increasing the body size of the organism also, some raw material is needed for the organism. In order to grow in size, the organisms need some raw material from outside, that is nothing but food. So in order to grow their body size also, the organisms take food. Okay, and most of the life on the earth depends on carbon based substances. Actually our earth contains so many carbon based substances like carbohydrates, proteins, fats. So obviously living organisms depends on these carbon based substances only for food sources. Depending on the complexity of these carbon sources, different organisms use different kinds of nutritional processes. So these carbon based substances are present in different forms. Simple forms, complex forms, just like simple forms in the form of glucose, fructose, sucrose. Complex forms in the form of carbohydrates, proteins, fats. So based on the complexities, the organisms perform different kinds of nutritional process. For example, some organisms follow autotrophic nutrition, while some follow heterotrophic nutrition, some follow saprophytic nutrition. So based on these complexities, the organisms use different kinds of nutritional processes. So that is about our first life process, that is nutrition. Every organism needs energy, so they will take food from outside, especially carbon based food items. Not only for energy, for increasing their body size also they will take carbon based substances. So this based on the complexity, they use different kinds of processes. Next we are moving on to next life process. Moving on to second life process. The energy sources need to be broken down and convert into a uniform source of energy. So during nutrition, we have taken some food material. That means we have taken some energy sources, isn't it? These energy sources has to break down in our body and convert into some uniform source of energy. This energy is used for the living organism for increasing their body size or for doing some actions. So the functions which are taking place in our body need some energy. This energy comes from the breakdown of these food materials. So a series of chemical reactions takes place in our body. Say for example oxidation and reduction reactions. So in our body during second life process, oxidation and reduction reactions takes place by using a gas called as oxygen, which we have taken through breathing. So during breathing, we are taking oxygen, isn't it? This oxygen is useful for breaking these food materials in oxidation and reduction reactions. This process of acquiring oxygen from outside of the body and use it in the process of breakdown of food sources for cellular needs is what we can call as respiration. So in this process, this process needs some oxygen from outside. So our body takes oxygen from outside and use that oxygen for breaking down the food materials. They will use this oxygen for breaking down the food materials, and from these food materials some energy is released which is useful for cellular needs, our cells, the needs of our cells. So the energy which is released from our food sources is useful for our cellular needs. This whole process is called as respiration, which is second type of life process we are going to learn in this chapter. So this is about our second life process, respiration. Moving on to our next life process, that is transportation. In case of single cell organisms like amoeba and paramecium, transportation is very simple. Why? Because their entire body surface is directly in contact with environment, isn't it? So amoeba, paramecium, all those organisms has only one cell, single cell. So their entire body is in contact with external environment. Easily the food materials or water or gases will enter into the body and transport in the within the cell. It is very easy, and that process is called as diffusion. So diffusion is the process which takes place in single cell organisms for transportation of substances. But in case of multicellular organisms, they have so many cells now, so every cell is not in contact with environment. So diffusion is not sufficient to transport all the substances all over the body in multicellular organisms. So in case of multicellular organisms, some specialized tissue is present, or as we have already learnt in our previous video, in multicellular organisms we have specialized organization, cell organization. So in case of multicellular organisms, we have some specialized tissue which is useful for movement of solids, liquids and gaseous substances. Solids like food materials, vitamins, liquids like water, gaseous substances like oxygen, carbon dioxide. So all these materials will move from one part of the body to the other part with the help of a specialized tissue in case of multicellular organisms. So the main maintaining function which is useful here is called as transportation. So the life process which is helping for the movement of these substances from one part to other part of the body, both in case of multicellular and unicellular, that means single cellular organisms, is transportation. That is our third life process. Moving on to our next life process, that is excretion. So many chemical reactions takes place in our body. During these chemical reactions, along with useful substances, some byproducts also produced. Okay, say for example food materials, oxidation and reduction reactions takes place and releases energy, isn't it? So during those chemical reactions, along with the useful substances, some byproducts are also produced which are useless for our body, which are sometimes harmful also for our body. So these useless and harmful substances, waste materials, will get discarded from our body. These waste materials must be removed from our body from time to time. The life process which is helping for the removal of these waste byproducts from the body is called as excretion. Here also same concept. In case of single celled organisms, excretion is very simple by diffusion process. Why? Because their body is in direct contact with external environment. But in case of multicellular organisms, diffusion is not enough. So in them some specialized tissue is present which performs this life process called excretion. So that is about our fourth life process, excretion. So in this video we have learned about the four life processes: nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. So in nutrition we have taken some food material for getting energy. In second life process, respiration, those food materials will break down in the presence of oxygen to release energy. In third life process, transportation, solids, liquids and gaseous substances will move from one part to other part of our body. And in fourth, excretion life process, waste materials will get removed from our body. So these are the four important life process taking place in all living organisms. So from our next video, we are going to learn about these life process in detail. So in our next video, we are going to learn about a nutrition topic. Okay, that is about our video today. If you have any doubts, please ask me in comment section. I will clarify you. If you have any suggestions or any complaints, feel free to ask me in comment section. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Jai Hind.